Superheroes are inherently stupid. Embrace it and it will make your story better. A view of Robert Kirkman, one of the creators of Invincible. It's really that simple. To prove it, let's have a look at the show's premise. Debuting in 2021, Invincible stars Mark Grayson, an ordinary teenage kid with the exception of having the most powerful superhero on Earth as a father. This grants him his own set of abilities which he, along with others, use to unravel the diabolical scheme his father has hidden for 20 years. That's all the show is, mixing a coming-of-age teenage superhero drama with a twist villain. But it's how it is executed that blows people's minds and keeps them invigorated. Execution is everything, and as a rule of thumb, perfect execution comes with practice and experience. Not in this case though. This show seemingly came out of nowhere. Aha, but did it? Robert Kirkman is a talented writer, who at the launch of his book series Invincible circa 2003 was entirely accepting of its potential failure. One of the show's main plot points, Omni-Man's betrayal, it was actually a last-minute suggestion.
What I did to my son.
Despite his humility, Kirkman and his peers know what it takes to make an audience care, to pilot a narrative start to finish and create a world far bigger than our own. Needless to say, Invincible was anything but a failure. Oh yeah. That's the story taking care of in execution, but apparently a book, even in comic variety, is not the same as a TV show. News to me. Kirkman signed a deal in August of 2017, granting Amazon first dibs on any new material in the works at Skybound Entertainment, his production company. It just so happened there was some new material. Amazon greenlit Invincible for production to be streamed on their platform Prime Video, maybe you've heard of it. But before that, there was a hitch. A showrunner is the position that oversees the creative vision of a program. Kirkman was spearheading this. It's clear he was obvious for the role. But that would never work. 8 episodes a season with a chance of multiple seasons. He needed some help, and this is where Simon Rasiopa comes in. A humbled soul, Simon has worked on other hits like The Boys, Diabolical and Teen Titans. His passion and devotion lies in comic books and their adaptations. In that case, a perfect candidate for a superhero show. We are what we say on the box. Eric Kripke. The show was devoid of illusion or sensory. Simon's ultimate goal when creating it was to make the comic animated, warts and all. The show is as violent as the source material, as dramatic, no more no less, as large, as expansive, as universal. I need a pen. Yeah. To accomplish this vision, the show had to be animated. Live action would cost as much as a feature every episode. They pitched a new concept, hour-long episodes virtually unheard of. Longer episodes and a shorter season are the foundations of the show's success. Why? It's easy to get enthralled amongst the characters, feel their pain, their joy. You're right there with them, with less breaks in between versus a 20 or 40-minute format. Invincible was then announced in 2018, a few months after the conclusion of the book. This is it. It was happening. So it took 4 years. I mean, there are over 200 people working on this show, and multiple studios. And that's the only reason it didn't take 5 years. Let's employ the iron triangle of service, modified to suit our needs. Aren't I just marvellous? Here we have 3 elements: quality, speed, and budget. In this scenario, we can only have 2 things at once. Invincible producers decide on the show to be well made and to a budget, but not quickly. This was absolutely the right choice. Production time is realistically a short-term problem. It is time that is only allocated once. When the content is made, it's made. Or so I keep telling myself. There are 3 elements for a successful practical execution of a story. Let's apply them. Who? Who are your characters? Who plays them and are they suitably justified? Casting for the main characters are as follows. A stupendous display of who. Stephen Yeun carries with him the innocence an adolescent superhero would bring. A concrete sense of right and wrong, not violated by the complexity of maturity. Even when challenged, when broken or defiled, Mark holds to this mentality, with foundations so solid they're worthy of his invincible mantra. But what is invincible about Invincible? As Alan alluded to, he is quite invincible. Look closer and ye shall see. It's his spirit. When has Mark gone against his morals? Been tempted with the opposite of his beliefs and took the first step? Never. It's his innate sense of right and wrong that conflicts him so much with his relationships. The fight between the love for his father and what he's done tries to tear him apart. He'd love nothing more than time with Amber, but saving and helping people comes first. Beyond that, his self-esteem is challenged and how people perceive him. He's not his dad, and by the end of the second season he is desperately trying to believe it. These conflicts created by his pure heart are why Invincible is such a superb character, and a main one at that. In the interest of time, I'll be brief with these guys. Eve shares Invincible's morality, but it's woven with wisdom and maturity. She counters Mark and challenges his actions on reflection when required. She stands on her own as a character, however. Alan, resoundingly absolute in his fight against Viltrumites, is a trusted ally of Invincible. Like his human counterpart, against all odds he will fight to his dying breath, whether that be psychologically or physically. He is no stranger to sacrifice and always puts the lives of others above his own. The de facto soup and one old the immortal gives more of himself away every time he loses. Between all the battles, death, heavy loss and hatred, there's not much left to give. This is something that he and Kate bond over. Rex is the endearing, terrible person character. I anticipate a redemption arc in the coming seasons, going from comic relief and one who is hated to a fan favourite. Donald and Cecil are the perfect moral grey water that connects a sinister sludge bridge between doing the right thing and self-justification. There is not a line that these two will not cross to achieve the greater good. It applies a war on two fronts approach to the show. Mark is contending with the villains, but also Cecil. Said villains bring power to the table. Despite Mark and his peers' strength, it pales in comparison to the might of the Viltrumite. The respect commanded for them by the beloved characters adds to their scale and threat.
Come with me now, or this woman dies.
When they arrive, there's an immediate sense of dread, despite their lack of actual screen time. Less is more. This is not a new concept, but one that when executed correctly can immediately boost your antagonist to new heights, whether they're an individual or a collective. They are the very problem they are trying to solve. Viltrumites have long established that the strongest survive, therefore only an iron civilization can thrive. They will stop at nothing to rid the weak from their empire. Weakness perceived as defiance to their policies, of course. It's their ignorance that shines here. It's not that they won't acknowledge the real judgment, they really can't. Stubbornness, propaganda, and upbringing have molded them into solidified killing machines, most of them incapable of change. You know, most of them. One of the last true full-blooded Viltrumites left, Nolan, Omni-Man, is a bundle of fun wrapped up in a character that loves nothing more than to see what the cotton candy inside people looks like on the floor. 20 years on Earth has slowly chiseled away at his warrior mindset, vastly quickened with the arrival of Mark. His very foundation and what he stands for is shaken to the core as he sees what it is to be human. His inner conflict becomes an outy conflict, where he is the direct root of mass devastation across the world. We are shown Nolan's conflict physically, but also through a fantastic, symbolic, and beautiful flashback as the conflict comes to a head.
This is humanity.
Come the conclusion of Season 1, Nolan's learned perception of humanity prevails. Ignorance finally stripped away, and a flood of emotion and realization bombards him. This is what it is to write a twist villain and redemption character. So much investment is made in Nolan that his true motive sends shockwaves through the narrative. The entire world is literally turned upside down, and every character attempts to pick up the pieces after the terrible battle. J.K. Simmons brings an energy like no other to the character. This is not his usual role, but the dedication and submersion in Nolan is breathtaking. With muscle like this holding up the character, it's too easy to be fascinated and enthralled by him. Angstrom Levy has impacted the show more than I initially thought. He is a catalyst for Mark's anger, impressing a constant push, until Mark finally snaps. This is clever, because it gives Angstrom just as much purpose as every other villain, with an equally personal ambition. Combining thousands of copies of your mind into one being is obviously a really bad idea. Similar to Doc Ock, Angstrom is permanently fractured due to an accident caused partly by the protagonist, Invincible, but mostly by him. Angstrom sacrifices himself in an attempt to save Mark from the Maulers, leaving him with permanent disfigurement and said fractured mind. Combining so many copies of yourself wasn't a good idea in the first place. I'm with Invincible. Arrogance prevails this time, with Angstrom dead set on unaliving the one pure Invincible out of all the interdimensional counterparts. The only one who truly is Invincible. What? What is it going to look like? What styles, themes and tones are going to blend with the narrative? Animation is a given, but what kind? I love the approach they've given here. Heavy inspiration from Japanese anime yields a majority 12 to 15 frames per second art piece focusing on vibrancy of colours and character detail. There's no doubt that it's cheaper and easier to do this, but that's not a bad thing. If you wait for perfection, you'll wait for eternity. Invincible looks incredible. Given budget constraints, this resonates success and impresses beyond Rasiopa's vision. We see a motion version of the book, which is excellent. While inspired from anime, it is not anime. The style is traditional. Shot composition is that of a live-action medium. Standard pans, 180-degree rule, close-ups, mid-shots, wides, establishing shots. No artistic stylization and no exaggerated character movements. Very much Western cinema, woven with the look of anime, is fitting of the source material it's based on. Finally, why? Why is that in there? When the who and the what weave together, does it serve a functional purpose to the story or just needless context and filler? Set in a Western civilization to appeal to a Western audience, pitching a Western narrative translates to the right visual choice. I believe a stylized animation would absolutely work, that of Into the Spider-Verse, for example. But the technology and talent required to output that with the show's budget, it's just not possible. Any further stylization or animation effects could segregate Invincible from its target audience, steering it toward a niche a more select few would enjoy: anime. Overall, it's beautifully executed, and every choice made in the show has elevated and enhanced all elements of the story. Color me impressed. But what does all this really mean going forward? Where is Invincible heading as the seasons come and go? What's the landscape it's releasing to? Invincible and The Boys share responsibility for what is the current climate of the superhero genre. Marvel, for better or for worse, are heading for Hallmark movie status. Needless tripe, bloated with inflated egos, self-importance, and trend following. The Boys, releasing prior to Invincible, threw a middle finger to the PG rating, and smacked dreamers who wanted an Iron Man suit hard in the face with realism. That the view of cynicism, lust, and greed will always poison ideology, along with punching people as hard as superheroes do, does in fact convert them to a fine paste. The Boys' creator, Eric Kripke, is not a fan of superheroes, but Kirkman is. Invincible took the realist approach, but countered the poison tropes, believing that those who fall to such traits will always have a counterpart to stand against them. This is closer to life than The Boys, easily, expanding upon that idea by countering its absolute statement, there are no good soups. There are kind and gentle souls in real life. It is a statistical impossibility that one such soul could never possess the power to change minds. The time of superheroes in cinema will set sooner rather than later, but I, for one, am glad to see the development Invincible has brought to the genre. It has remained stupid and ridiculous, but matured, so that such content can be enjoyed by an aging audience. It shows the power that fresh ideas can have and how we need them to challenge what we're comfortable with. If nothing changes, nothing moves on. Westerns. Oh, what? Where was this the whole time? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the breakdown of Invincible. Subscribe and thumb me, I mean the video. Have a look at my other stuff here, you'll enjoy it. And hope you learned something. Check me out on TikTok as well, link below. And remember, it's movie time. Oh my god, we did it. Oh my god, we did it. Hey, they said it was going to look like the show. This does not look like the show. No, it's great. It's great. Oh, then what happens? Oh, no way, yeah? Stephen Yeun carries with him the innocence an adolescent superhero would bring, you little Alright, okay, we're gonna have to cut and go again, so